Good afternoon, YouTube. Hi. Day 10 in the Big Brother house. No, not the Big Brother house. The Ian and Jane does the Edinburgh Fringe. So, first show of the day, which is quite a long show actually. It started at 12 o'clock for 2 hours. And that was J.M. Coetzee's Life and Times of Michael K.
Hey, Michael, be careful.
Yeah.
Oh, the neighbors are watching. Look at them. Potholes, Michael.
Excuse.
Stranger and stranger conveyances were emerging on the streets. Later, when there was no one about, he went downstairs to look for his mother. He could not find her. Oi! You lot! Back in your tents.
It seemed to him that scene after scene of life was playing out before him.
I think this was your choice, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
But
yeah.
The other thing was that we saw it as part of the Assembly Gala.
That was it. That was right, yeah.
You know, sort of snippets of lots of shows, and we were quite mesmerised by it.
It looked amazing.
And obviously it's taken us a while to fit it in because it's like in fact it's down as being 2 hours 20.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah, 20, and it's actually 2 hours.
It's 2 hours.
But it's
without a break. Because we were half expecting. I thought if it's 2 hours 20, it'd be an hour, 20-minute break, and then another hour, which for me would have been better. Sitting in a chair for 2 hours is a bit of a stretch for me. So shall I do the thing? I've got it here on the sheet. Okay.
No, I realise why I can't find it because I'm looking.
The Baxter, 2-time Scottish Fringe First winners, in collaboration with Tony Award-winning Handspring Puppet Company of Warhorse and Little Amal fame. I don't know Little Amal, do you?
No, I don't.
We have seen Warhorse in the West End. Are at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe at the Assembly Hall, the UK premiere of Life and Times of Michael K, adapted for the stage by Lara Foot. I can't pronounce this. A Düsseldorfer Schauspielhaus, brackets Germany, if you didn't know, and Baxter Theatre production.
This actually, can I just add, it's J.M. Coetzee's. He won the Booker Prize for this book.
For the book.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't read the book, have you? You've read something by him. No. I mean, my first impression is it's obviously quite a difficult job to bring. I'm assuming it's a complex book to the stage because there's a lot going on. I loved the opening, and I thought the sound design in the first 10 minutes was brilliant, which is actually the bit that we saw.
Yeah.
I then actually after that didn't really notice the sound design anymore. Maybe it was right, or there wasn't much. I wasn't really paying that much attention to it. I did like it, but I did struggle with it being 2 hours. I think it could have been a bit more concise and an hour and a half would have. There was bits that I thought were slightly repetitive. I don't know if you felt that.
I think it's difficult because we haven't read the book. But I'm sure that it was the adaptation was to create the sense of episodes of his life that, and it was repetitive in the sense that he'd sort of appeared to have found some kind of stability, and then it was all disrupted, usually by war or soldiers, or and then he had to sort of escape and start again. And I think you know, that in that sense, and I understand you using the word repetitive, but I think it gave a sense of how sort of just he couldn't settle anywhere.
I mean, and apologies for comparing it to War Horse. I also felt that I was engaged, but I don't think I was engaged enough compared to how I saw War Horse. The other thing as well, and I again, apologies for the War Horse reference. In War Horse, the puppeteers are all in black, so you, after the first few minutes, you focus on the puppets. Here, the puppeteers are part of the cast and are almost other characters, and I never got away from thinking that Michael Kay and his mother and some of the other, and the goat, were always, in my head, they were always puppets. And I kept thinking, it's quite clever how they're doing that bit. Now that, for me, takes you away from the story.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw this sort of we now know it was the opening scene that had us quite mesmerised. And I loved that, and I was intrigued. I thought, I really want to see all of this.
Well, we both turned around to each other and went, we should try and look to see this, yeah.
We did. I, at the time, wondered why the figure of Michael is so small. I mean, it's not life-size. And then having seen the whole production, part of me sort of still thinks that, but equally it would look very odd if you had if you had a full-size man, because you're thinking, well, why aren't you playing this?
As with an actor.
So I mean, then this is just a personal sort of reflection on it. I mean, by making the figure of Michael so small, in a way you're focused on him, and I think maybe that's why. I don't know. I mean, it was quite epic.
Oh, it is.
The whole thing. I mean, it isn't his, as it says, his life and times.
It's a big production in that sense.
The logistics of it and the detail.
Apart from the puppets, we've got things going on the back wall. We had
some
visual elements as well, and there were different. I mean, there was one point where he was travelling with his mother, and she was in he made a cart for her to take because she was not well, and they had a really little one with really fast. It was actually quite funny, but so we had different versions of Michael and other characters,
and it was really quite. Some of the images were very vivid. It didn't shy away from violence, violent language, violent actions, which initially was sort of lulled into. I mean, it wasn't a gentle story, but you'd sort of have a gentler bit, and then suddenly soldiers would come into it, and it was vicious. So that really made you sort of sit up. I mean, I think it did, like I've said before, show his life. And though there was a couple of scenes when he was referred to as uncle.
Yeah, I think yes.
By a little, and I was very confused by that.
No, I mean I think that's a colloquialism for. Sorry.
But at the time, you didn't know that. So he was suddenly referred to as uncle by a little girl. And I thought, well, hang on a minute. I thought he was an only child. Why has he suddenly come into family? But then, as Ian said, later on, it became very evident that they refer to people as uncles, complete strangers.
And sister. Sister was the other one.
And so then I understood that, but at the time I didn't get that. And the ending I just found odd, because I didn't realise sort of what had happened. But it did bring the whole thing into a full circle, which actually, when I sort of look at that, it was nicely rounded.
Yeah, it's a device that's been used quite a lot, though, hasn't it? That sort of where you almost start with the ending, but you don't know it's the ending, and then the story unfolds, and you come back to it. It's well known in theatre and TV.
But
and I realised that when they brought the orange blanket out, that we were getting to that point, really, and it felt like it was going to be this back to the beginning. And that's no spoiler.
No, but and it's got a terrific reaction.
Yeah, I mean the audience.
There was standing ovation.
There was some people that stood up. Yeah,
it was very, very well received.
It was very well received.
Yeah. And I felt I'd seen quite an experience. Not as much as I have with some other things of that length, but yeah, it's an epic.
It is,
and unusual to see something of that length, but worth it. I mean, it certainly wasn't 2 hours wasted by any stretch of the imagination.
How many stars?
I'm going to go for 4.
I'm going to go for 3. Mainly because I wasn't as engaged as I felt as I should have been. Although I think the production and that's down to the adaptation. I don't know, but I think it should have been a bit shorter. But I thought that the whole cast were brilliant.
Yeah.
And how they brought Michael to life and the other puppets was brilliant, really. Yeah. So it's on right to the end of the Fringe. So we're going to start the last week. So it's on till the 27th. And let me just pick a date to tell you how much it costs. It's £18 full price, £16 concession. Now, to be fair, that's quite a reasonable price when for an hour you'll see anything between 12 and 15, £16, won't you?
Yeah.
So £18 for a 2-hour show is pretty good value, really.
Yeah.
It wasn't full, but it's a really big room.
Oh, it's huge. It's the assembly
It's the assembly main hall.
Yeah.
It was pretty much full downstairs. There was some spare seats, so certainly the main area was pretty full with a few seats at the side. They didn't use upstairs at all, but it is a very, very big room.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No, it doesn't.
We're off to see Blondie, the whole story, I think it's called, later on. So watch out for that. And a little bit, we're going to a meet and greet thing, aren't we?
Yeah.
Which we'll say a little bit about. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe and click the little bell to be notified and like. Have I said like? Anyway, you can like it, subscribe, like, all that usual rubbish. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Cheers, bye.